Hi, Kyla, and welcome to the Backstage Greenroom. This is our 4th Greenroom episode. So I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you today about your upcoming performance at Backstage, which is on the 4th of February at 7:30. That's a Saturday, and the gig is happening at Cope Street in Waterloo in our cool new kind of warehousey style space. And we're really looking forward to having you.
Thank you so much for having me, Lamorna. And I am so excited to come up to Sydney and to get to work with you and to work with Claire and the rest of the ensemble. It's a real privilege. Thank you.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool. The program looks really fun, lots of percussion, fun stuff in the Lou Harrison piece, which I think is going to be really cute. And, of course, you're going to perform for us Jaslyn Robertson's new piece called Dream State.
Yes, and, that's right.
I hear that this was part of a really cool commission called the Homophonic Pride Award. Is that the correct name for the award?
That's correct. Yes, indeed. So it's the Homophonic Pride Prize. And I was on the panel to select a composer as the performing musician, and I was immediately drawn to Jazzy's style of composition. So it was a really fantastic process to get to work with her in creating this piece that is so deeply personal between the composer and the performer. And even more exciting is to be able to have all these opportunities to re-perform the work. I think so often we see new things get composed and then just sort of fallen down by the wayside and forgotten, you know.
Way too often. So much work goes into new pieces and then they only get performed once, and you're right, it is really sad. So
yeah, it's really sad. And I think what's especially fantastic is when you have something written for you, I've had the opportunity to come back to it over every, couple of months and sort of examine what my relationship to the composition is like. Every time. I think the first couple of weeks I spent with it were more spent being quite nitpicky about rhythm and those things that musicians, us perfectionists can't really let go of. But, once you sort of graduate from that level and you get to sort of look at the overarching structures of a piece of music, it becomes words, sentences, chapters, an entire novel. And that, I think that's a really special thing that can only happen through the course of time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, sometimes it feels a bit sad for the first couple of performances of a piece, doesn't it? It feels like it wasn't really the true piece somehow, and it's only once you've performed it a couple of times that it really actually comes to life. So how many times do you think that you've performed it now?
I'd say during the homophonic period, at least 10 or 11. At least 10 or 11, yeah. And then later on last year, I had the opportunity to revisit. And then I guess, so this will be sort of the third overarching opportunity. And then later on in February, I'll be performing it again. So it's going to be really fantastic. And yeah, no, I totally agree with that sentiment that you shared about feeling like it's not the true performance. I think that while something exists in the mind and we need to do all this processing up here before it becomes sort of a somatic experience to play something, and we let the body take over. Do you know what I mean, don't you? Yeah. So once it sort of becomes that imbibed physical experience of performing something, it's so much more satisfying. Hey,
letting go of a little bit of control, I think, is
instead of being like 1 and 2 and 3.
That's right. This must be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe could you tell me a bit about the actual prize, and like, is this the first time that this commission has existed, or is it something that's just for music, or I'm a little bit unclear based on what I was looking at on the website.
So the Homophonic Pride Prize is a commission-based prize for composers to apply to write a work for another queer musician or ally in the Victorian or Australian community. I was the third recipient, and we looked at the applicants on a panel, and we chose Jazzy out of them. And the prize is that opportunity to work one-on-one with the musician, as well as, a nice bit of money and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
And then to perform the work in the Homophonic series, which is this incredible, groundbreaking series run by Miranda Hill, that's been going for many, many years now. And I think it's just a wonderful exploration in the incredible fruits of holding space for queer composers and queer performers as well. It's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah. And do you think that something special has come out of your kind of collaboration with Jassy?
I think that
I mean, obviously it has, because the work is, you obviously love the work, but I think, like that process of making something together, maybe it opens up channels for conversation that are quite interesting, or
absolutely,
I would imagine.
I really, really enjoyed working with Jazzy, and I really enjoy the calm energy that she has. I think after the pandemic, like most musicians, we must have been about a year and a half of the way through, maybe a little bit more, but I'd spent a lot of time being sad in my pajamas like everybody else. And to come back out into the world and start making music again, I could just feel all of this really sort of frenetic, chaotic energy popping up as a rebound to having had very little to do. And Jazzy was sort of the perfect yin to the yang, if that makes sense. Yeah. And but then in turn, to be able to explore someone's complex internal world through their music, especially when it's tied to something so personal like their queerness and their feelings towards their queerness, that is a deeply personal experience, and something that I feel like is a really great privilege. So the work itself, Dream State, is prefaced by a poem that Jazzy's written that is only to be shared between the composer and the performer. And the first time that I read it, I just about burst into tears and had to read it over and over again. And it's just, I feel like for me, it gave me such a strong grounding in which to take this work that is so tumultuous, detailed, visceral, and how else could I think visceral is the word. Visceral is definitely the word. And it's a totally individual language. Really. Yeah, it's a fantastic piece of music. It really is.
There really is something that's quite special, I think, about the collaboration between a performer and a composer, particularly when you're making work that is about something that's very close to your heart, and I think also when you're making work that's risky in some kind of way, particularly in a kind of expressive way of, announcing yourself to the world as being something that's not part of the straight and normal, as it were. And I, it's something that I've been thinking a lot about with the backstage shows, is how to bring performers and composers together who are from, the outskirts of our normal life, whatever that kind of means, and how important that kind of that is, to have those experiences of connecting with people. And even if
we don't keep exploring new avenues, we're going to grind to a halt,
Totally.
And isn't the life of classical music reliant on continuous exploration? And
if we keep talking to the same people about the same thing, then the art form's useless, really. I think
it is. And I guess finding that balance between the comfortable, the challenging, and the downright offensive, orally offensive, of course, and just towing the line a little bit more, and finding, simply just, exploring and seeing if there are still new and untapped ways that we can do this, to be creative and to share our art, is the only way that our industry will keep moving forwards, really.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Unless we want to be taken over by AI lizard people bots, which, quite frankly, I'm not really ready for yet.
No, I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. No. So, do you want to talk a little bit more about working with Jazzy and like how the kind of practical stuff kind of happened?
Absolutely. We must have had a Zoom meeting to start with, where we talked about sort of basic things like Kyla's fingers don't do no tenths, for example, or double stops, yes, scordatura, yes, just violin-y bits. Yeah. And then I do believe Jazzy was remarkably quick in getting a draft through to me. And then from there, I would just send her snippets here and there, and we would check in. And then we got closer and closer to the homophonic showtime, and it was really very exciting to meet her in person and be able to play it for her. And once again, I think my internal chaos reigned, and then was reined in by Jazzy's ability to be able to sort of see the big picture where I perhaps could not at that point. So I felt deeply assured by her, and by her interest in the way that the piece was going to be performed. She wasn't we've all had the experience of working with composers where you play something for them and they go, okay, bar 2, 30-second quaver of the bar, and she just sort of took and I will say, of course, that's obviously useful for some compositions, but the way that she sort of approached things on more of a big picture level was something that I resonated with much more strongly, as somebody who is not as detail oriented, perhaps, in the same way. And we were really close to the performance date as well. So yes, It was very good.
Mm-hmm. And is Jazzy coming along to this performance? Is she able to be in Sydney?
I don't think she's able to come, but I will definitely be sending her a recording up. Yeah.
Excellent. And the Lou Harrison, of course, is a pretty cool piece. I had listened to that the other day for the first time, and there's some pretty cool sounds in there, aren't there?
Oh, it's absolutely bonkers.
So you've played it before, I think.
I have. I had the opportunity handed to me while I was at ANAM in my third year. My teacher at the time, Dr. Robin Wilson, said, So I've got this concerto for violin and 4 pieces of untuned percussion. Kyla, you like doing weird things. Here you go. Off you go. And I went, okay, sure, yeah.
It's very virtuosic, isn't it, for the violin?
It is, and it's almost constant playing.
Yeah,
too, almost constant. So it requires quite a bit of stamina and endurance to pull it together. Let alone, of course, the mechanics of trying to fit in with 4 percussionists or being heard over the top of them. But once again, I guess it comes back to this idea of picking something up, feeling it up here, putting it back down, and then coming back to it. So it's been 4 or 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so coming back to it has been a very, very different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, loads more experience and technique under your belt too. So that's always a nice thing, isn't it?
A little less wide-eyed squirreling around.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, the most exciting thing I think for us about having you here at Backstage is that, when I first started working on Backstage with Liz Jiggelen, we always wanted to include an early career artist in every program, and you're kind of that this time round, even though you've been doing lots of really amazing things recently, and you're still young, and it's still you're still early career, but you're just doing so incredibly well. So it's super exciting to have you involved, and I think it's also just really great to have you playing with Claire and the other amazing percussionists, and I hope that you enjoy the whole process of working together with Claire, who's got so much experience and so much to say. So
I am absolutely chomping at the bit to get started. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And the series has been going really well over the last 6 months. So I'm hoping that we'll have a really lovely, supportive audience there for you, and that we'll just have a great time. So
me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with people or ask me about? Or
no, I'm just really excited. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker of a concert.
Yeah,
absolute cracker. Too. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So once again, the concert is Saturday, 2 weeks away, isn't it? Yeah, yes. Saturday, 2 weeks away. That's the 4th at 7:30. Tickets are available through backstagemusic.com.au, and it should be a really fun night, I think.
Hell yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.